Imagine sitting alone in your home, the clock ticking toward midnight, when suddenly everything changes. The lights go out, the air turns cold, and you realize someone is inside your house. What would you do? Tonight I'll take you on a journey through 3 chilling stories, each more terrifying than the last. These aren't just tales, they're warnings. You're watching Mr. Midnight, the home of the internet's scariest stories. If you crave the thrill of the unknown, the terror of what lurks in the shadows, you're in the right place. Story 1. It was a chilly night in early March a couple of years ago. I had just gotten home from work after a late shift. It was close to midnight when I walked through the door, utterly exhausted. All I wanted was to crack open an ice-cold beer and relax on the couch. So that's exactly what I did. After a long day, nothing beats the taste of a cold drink. I didn't even turn on the TV right away. I sat there, eyes closed, feet up, trying to push away the stressful thoughts that seemed to linger in my mind. After some time, I started flipping through the channels, hoping to find something to distract myself. Frustrated by the lack of anything interesting, I gave up and decided to enjoy my beer in silence. But, like everything else in my life, peace and quiet were too much to ask for. Not 10 seconds later, the lights in my house went out. You know that faint popping sound that happens just before a power outage? That's what I heard. It's a sound I've always hated. For some reason, our house loses power every so often. Annoyed, I decided to step outside and see if any of the neighboring houses were affected. It was late, but I noticed at least one house on the block still had its lights on. That confirmed the issue was specific to my house. I turned back to go inside, but when I reached for the door handle, it wouldn't budge. Confused, I tried again. It was definitely locked. My heart sank. I banged on the door, calling my wife's name, thinking maybe she'd locked it by mistake. No answer. I ran around to the back door, but that was locked too. That's when I noticed something strange. Our garden hose, which had been neatly coiled earlier, was now lying in the grass beneath the breaker box. The realization hit me like a freight train. Someone had cut the power intentionally. Without thinking, I sprinted to a window and looked inside. The faint beams of flashlights danced through the darkness of my home. 2 intruders were rummaging through my belongings. My fury was immediate, but I froze as the gravity of the situation set in. My wife was still inside, likely asleep and completely unaware of the danger. I fumbled for my phone, only to realize I had left it on the couch. Cursing under my breath, I decided to run to my neighbor's house to borrow their phone. But just as I started toward their door, a chilling thought stopped me in my tracks. I couldn't leave my wife alone, not even for a minute. I ran back to my yard and grabbed a handful of rocks, tossing them at our bedroom window to wake her up. After the 3rd rock, the window opened. I quickly whispered what was happening and told her to hide in the closet. She disappeared without hesitation. I dashed to my neighbor's house, banged on their door, and explained the situation as quickly as possible. They handed me their phone, and I called the police, praying my wife would remain safe. When the police arrived, I directed them to the house. They entered, but the intruders were already gone. The back door was wide open, and many of our valuables were missing. My wife was shaken, understandably so. She told me that just moments after she hid, someone kicked open the bedroom door. They cocked a gun and stood there listening. She said it was the most terrifying moment of her life. To this day, I can't forgive myself for leaving her in the house, even if it was just for a moment. I've always lived in the shadow of my older brother. He's incredibly successful, and I've spent years trying to replicate his achievements. Recently, I moved back in with my parents to get back on my feet. Living in their basement felt like a step backward, but I had no other choice. The basement was almost like a small apartment. It had its own kitchen, bathroom, office, and bedroom. I rarely went upstairs and did my best to stay out of the way. One stormy night I was lying in bed, enjoying the sound of rain hammering against the windows. There's something oddly comforting about being warm and safe inside during a raging storm. Just as I was about to drift off to sleep, the power went out, plunging the basement into darkness. Annoyed, I decided to leave it for the morning, but then I heard a loud thud against one of the basement windows. Thinking it might be a branch or debris from the storm, I grabbed my phone and shone its flashlight toward the window. My heart stopped. A man's face was pressed against the glass, staring straight at me. His pale, drenched skin and wide eyes were horrifying. As soon as our eyes met, he moved away. I stumbled back, nearly dropping my phone. Then I heard footsteps upstairs. My parents were out of town, so I was completely alone. Panic set in as I realized the house was being broken into. I tried calling the police, but there was no signal in the basement. Thinking quickly, I decided to escape through one of the basement windows. I grabbed a stool, smashed the glass, and climbed out into the pouring rain. The glass cut into my skin, but adrenaline kept me moving. Once I was far enough away, I got a signal and called the police. By the time they arrived, the intruders were gone, and my house was ransacked. Months later, I took a night shift security job at a warehouse. It was isolated, surrounded by miles of industrial space. One stormy night, the power went out, and I had to check the breakers. As I patrolled the aisles with my flashlight, I saw another beam of light up ahead. It clicked off as soon as I noticed it. No one else was supposed to be there. I followed the trail and discovered wet footprints leading into the storage aisles. I heard faint whispers but found no one. My fear intensified when I found a crowbar lying on the floor. It hadn't been there before. Moments later, two figures dressed in black appeared, one holding a crowbar. They charged at me and I ran for my life. I managed to escape and call the police, but the intruders were gone by the time they arrived. The experience left me shaken. To this day, I still work that job, but I'll never forget the terror of being hunted in the dark. For more interesting stories, hit the subscribe button that all my videos reached you. If the video is nice, please like the video and below comments.